big challenge now is that fewer people are studying history in schools. We've become very obsessed with STEM education, with math, science, technology, and all around the world, history is losing its importance as an academic pursuit. At the very same time that this is happening, you have political movements, religious movements that are weaponizing history, that are using history to tell a very negative story, to try and create divisions among people. And this is very dangerous. And so they're taking advantage of people's ignorance of history. On top of that, you now have the ability of using technology to create fake history, as we heard in our panel. You can create fake documents, you can create fake old black and white video to say, look, this is video of what happened, when in reality that did not happen. So this is a very dangerous period in our civilization, if you like, and it becomes much more important for journalists, for news organizations to step into the gap, to help people understand the difference between real history and history as it is being presented by those who want to divide us.
It's one we grapple with at The Economist, because we move people around quite a lot between beats. So obviously we have specialists who are experts on Russia, or experts on European history, or experts on the history of finance, and they will get moved to different jobs. But I think what happens for us is that they then bring the context that knowledge gives them in a particular field to another field, and it also means when we need somebody who knows about the combination of two or three things, then we can identify which person on the staff does it. But I think it is a good question, because there is a temptation to just stay on Twitter all the time and just read that, and I think that has some value, but at the same time reading some history books is also, so I try to do both, and I try to I'm on holiday and I'm reading a history book, but then I'm also on Twitter. So I think we need to find a way to combine those two approaches. We're lucky at The Economist that we don't have to chase after the 24-hour news cycle. That's not what people expect from us. What they come to us for is the context, is the analysis, and that makes it much easier to bring the historical perspective into our writing. So I feel that we sort of start in an easier place, and the discussion we've just had, we heard from a lot of people who want to bring history into news stories, but they're discouraged from doing so by editors who just want a quick hit news story. But I think if we can find, as readers and as writers, more space for history, I think it will improve journalism.
First and foremost, we have to educate ourselves as journalists about history, become better at using history to contextualize stories about today. And yes, then once we educate ourselves, then we will be better able to educate our readers. Now, one of the most exciting things I heard on the panel was when Natalie of The Guardian pointed out that if we do it right, we can actually use the historical storytelling or the use of history in storytelling as a business model. A good news organization that learns how to use history well can distinguish itself from the rest of the competition by that fact. I mean, as a reader of The Economist, for instance, one of the many reasons I love The Economist is because every issue of The Economist, somewhere or the other, actually in more than one story, there is history and there is contextualization through history. I think that's something that gives the rest of us some reason for optimism. We can use our past as a way to make money today, to support the journalism that we do.